제가 조금 전에 독서를 했는데 목소리를 들어보니까 되게 공격적이더라고요. 뭔가 조금 약간 흥분되어 있는 느낌? 그래서 이번에는 한번 차분하게 좀 원서를 읽어보도록 하겠습니다. It is the book called Atomic Habits that I purchased 3 years ago. And then also this book is my first book for self-development. So I don't know. What kind of feeling do I have? What kind of feeling? Will I have? Okay, so what am I saying? Okay, so traded with this one and behaviors followed by satisfying consequences tend to be repeated, and those that produce unpleasant consequences are less likely to be repeated. A habit is behavior that has been repeated enough times then it becomes automatic. The brain is busy learning the most effective course of action. Wait a minute, that felt good. What did I do right before that? This is a feedback loop behind all human behavior. Try, fail, learn, try differently. Okay, try, fail, learn, try differently. 제가 오늘 영상을 만들 거라서 해야 되겠어요. 시도, 실패, 배움. 다른 방법으로 시도. 영상을 만들 때 이걸 쓰면 좋을 것 같습니다. Yes, so this is a feedback loop behind all human behavior. Try, fail, learn, try differently. With the practice, the useless movement fade away, and the useful actions get reinforced. That's a habit of forming. 맞아요. Fade away, and useful action get reinforced. Habits are simply reliable solution to recurring problems in our environment. As the habits are created, the level of activity in the brain decrease. The level of activity of the brain is decreased, of course. Habits are mental shortcuts learned from experience. As a result, your brain is always working to preserve your conscious attention for whatever task is most essential. Habits do not restrict freedom. They create it. In fact, the people who don't have their habits handled are often ones with the least amount of freedom. Without the good financial habits, you will always be struggling for the next dollars. Without the good health habits, you will always seem to short on energy. Without a good learning habits, you will always feel like you're behind the curve. If you're always being forced to make decisions about a simple task, when should I work out? Where do I go to the right? When do I pay the bills? Then you have less time for the freedom. It's only by making the fundamentals of life easier that you can create a mental space needed for free thinking and creativity. Conversely, when you have your habits dialed in and the basics of life are handled and are done, your mind is free to focus on new challenges and master the next set of problems. Building habits in the present allows you to more of the what you want in the future. Cue, craving, response, and reward. Your mind is continuously analyzing your internal and external environment for hints of where rewards are located. Because of the cue is the first indication that we are close to reward is naturally needed to a craving. Cravings differ from person to person. In theory, any piece of information could trigger a craving, but in practice, people are not motivated by the same cues. Okay, the cue is about noticing the reward. The craving is about wanting the reward. The response is about obtaining the reward. We chase the rewards because they serve two purposes. One, they satisfy us, and two, they teach us. Second, reward teaches us which actions are worth remembering in the future. Your brain is a reward detector. Feelings of pressure and disappointment are part of the feedback mechanism that helps your brain distinguish useful actions from useless ones. Rewards close to the feedback loop and complete the habit cycle. Eliminate the cue and your habit will never start. Reduce the craving and you won't experience enough motivation to act. Make that behavior difficult and you won't be able to do it. And if the reward fails to satisfy your desire, then you will have no reason to do it again in the future. Without the first three steps, a behavior will not occur. Without all four, a behavior will not be repeated. That ultimately allows you to create automatic habits. A habit is behavior that has been repeated enough times to become automatic. The ultimate purpose of habits is to solve the problems of the life with as little energy and effort as possible. Any habit can be broken down into a feedback loop that involves the four steps: cue, craving, response, and reward. The four laws of behavior change a simple set of rules so we can use to build better habits. There are 1. Make it obvious. 2. Make it attractive. 3. Make it easy. And 4. Make it satisfying. How can I make it obvious? How can I make it attractive? How can I make it easy? How can I make it satisfying? Okay, the first law. The human brain is prediction medicine. Not medicine, I'm sorry. The human brain is prediction machine. It is continuously taking our surroundings and analyzing the information it comes across. Your brain begins to notice what is important, sorting through the details and highlighting the relevant cues, and the cataloging that information for future use. With enough practice, you can pick up on the cues that predict certain outcomes without consciously thinking about it. Automatically, your brain encodes the lessons it learned through experience. We can always explain what it is we are learning, but learning is happening all along the way. And your ability to notice the relevant cues in a given situation is the foundation for every habit you have. We underestimate how much your brains and bodies can do without thinking. You don't tell your hair to grow, your heart to pump, your lungs to breathe, and your stomach to digest. And yet your body handles all those and are more on autopilot. You're much more than your conscious self. Appetite and hunger are governed by non-consciously. Over time, the cues that spark our habits become so common that they are essentially invincible. The trees on a kitchen counter, the remote control next to the couch, the phone in our pocket. Our responses to the cues are so deeply encoded that it may feel like the urge to act comes from nowhere. For this reason, we must begin the process of behavior change with awareness. Before we can effectively build new habits, we need to get a handle on our current ones. This can be more challenging than it sounds because once a habit is firmly rooted in your life, it is mostly non-conscious and automatic. If a habit remains mindless, you can't expect to improve it. As a psychologist in Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and it will call it fate. Yeah, unconscious conscious. Wow, that's beautiful. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Many of our failures in performance are largely attributable to lack of self-awareness. Does this behavior help me become the type of person I wish to be? Oh, does this behavior help me become the type of person I wish to be? Does this habit cast an vote against my desired identity? Habits that reinforce your desired identity are usually good. Habits that conflict with your desired identity are usually bad. Desired identity. Okay, desired identity. Hmm. The goal is to simply notice what is actually going on. Observe your thoughts and actions without judgment or internal criticism. The first step to change the bad habits to be an outlet. Look out for them. Say out loud the action. If you feel like you need extra help, then you can try pointing and calling in your own life. Say out loud the action that you are thinking of taking and what the outcome will be. If you want to cut back on your junk food habit, but notice yourself grabbing another cookie, say aloud, I'm about to eat this cookie, but I don't need it. Eating it will cause me to gain weight and hurt my health. Okay? Hearing your bad habits spoken aloud makes the consequences seem more real. It adds weight to the action rather than letting yourself mindlessly sleep into all the routine. This approach is useful even if you are simply trying to remember a task on a to-do list. Just saying out loud, tomorrow I need to go to the post office after lunch encourages an odds that you will actually do it. You are getting yourself acknowledge the need for action, and that can make an all difference. The process of behavior change always starts with awareness. Strategies like pointing and calling, the habitual scorecard, and focusing on getting you recognize your habits and acknowledge the cues that trigger them, which makes it possible to respond in a way that benefits you. With enough practice, your brain will pick up on cues that predict certain outcomes without consciously thinking about it. Once certain habits become automatic, we stop paying attention to what we are doing. The process of a behavior change always starts with awareness. You need to be aware of your habits before you can change them. Pointing and calling raises your level of awareness from the non-conscious habit to more conscious level by verbalizing your actions. The habitual scorecard is a simple exercise you can use to become more aware of your behavior. The best way to start new habits. The first group was in a control group. They were simply asked to track how often they exercised. The second group was in a motivation group. They were asked not only to track their workouts, but also to read more material on the benefits of exercise. The researchers also explained the group how exercise could reduce the risk of coronary heart disease and improve heart health. Although partaking at least 20 minutes of vigorous exercise on day, time, and place. The sentence they filled out is what researchers referred as an implementation intention, which is a plan you make beforehand and know when and where to act. That is, how you intend to implement particular habit. But two most common cues are in time and location. People who make a specific plan for when and where they will perform a new habit are more likely to follow through. Many people think they lack motivation. What they really lack is clarity. It is not always obvious when and where to take action. Some people spend their entire lives waiting for the time to be the right and make an improvement. Once an once an implementation intention has been set, you don't have to wait for inspiration to strike. Do I write a chapter today or not? Did I meditate this morning or at lunch? When the moment of action occurs, there is no need to make a decision. Simply follow your predetermined plan. Meditation. I will meditate in 1 minute at 7 a.m. in my kitchen. Studying. I will study Spanish for 20 minutes at 6 p.m. in my bedroom. Exercise. I will exercise for 1 hour at 5 p.m. in my local gym. Marriage. I will make my partner a cup of tea at 8 p.m. in the kitchen. If you are unsure when you start your habit, try the first day of the week, month, or year. People are more likely to take action those times because the hope is usually higher. If we have a hope, we have a reason to take action. If fresh start feels motivating, there is another benefit to implementation intentions. Being specific about what you want and how you will achieve it helps you say no to things that derail progress, distract your attention, and pull you off of course. When your dreams are fake, it's easy to rationalize little exceptions all day long and then never get around to the specific things you need to do to succeed. You often decided on what to next based on what you haven't finished doing. No behavior happens in isolation. Each action becomes a cue that triggers the next behavior. When it comes to building new habits, you can use a connected list of the behavior to advantage. One of the best ways to build a new habit is to identify a current habit you already know each day and then stack your new behavior on top. This is called a habit stacking. Okay, a little bit. Okay, I think I will be good. The secret to maximize your odds of success is to choose the right field of competition. This is just as true with the habit change as it is with the sports and business. Habits are easier to perform and are more satisfying to stick with when they align with your natural inclinations and abilities. Embracing this strategy requires the acceptance of the simple truths that people are born with different abilities. Some people don't like to discuss this fact. On the surface, your genes seem to be fixed, and it's no fun to talk about the things you cannot control. Plus, phrases like biological determinism makes it sound like certain individuals are destined for success and others doomed to failure. But this is a short-sighted view. of the influence of genes on behavior. The strength of genetics is also their weakness. Genes cannot be easily changed, which means they provide a powerful advantage in favorable circumstances and a serious disadvantage in unfavorable circumstances. Our environment determines the suitability of our genes and the utility of our natural talents. When our environment changes, so do the qualities that determine success. Competence is highly dependent on context. The people at the top of the competitive field are not only well trained, they also well suited the task. And this is why, if you want to be truly great, selecting the right place and focus is crucial. In short, genes do not determine your destiny. They determine your areas of opportunity. Genes can predispose, but they cannot predetermine. The areas where you're genetically predisposed to success are the areas where habits are more likely to be satisfying. The key is to direct your effort toward areas that both excite you and measure your natural skills to align with your ambition with your ability. How do I figure out where the odds are in my favor? How do I identify opportunities and habits are right for me? The first place we will look for the answer is by understanding your personality. How your personality influences in your habits. Your genes are operating beneath the surface of every habit. It, indeed, beneath the surface of every behavior. Genes have been shown to influence everything from the number of hours you spend watching television to your likelihood to marry or divorce to your tendency to get addicted to drugs, alcohol, or nicotine. There's a strong genetic component to how obedient or rebellious you are when facing authority, how vulnerable or resistant you are to stressful events, how proactive or reactive you tend to be, and even how captivated or bored you feel during sensory experiences like attending a concert. Your personality is the set of characteristics that is consistent from situation to situation. Openness experience, from curious and inventive on one and cautious and consistent on the other. Consciousness, organized and efficient and easygoing and spontaneous. Extroverted, outgoing and energetic, solitary, and reserved. You like to know them as an extrovert or introvert. Agreeableness, friendly and compass agreeableness, friendly and compassionate to the challenging and detached. Neuroticism, anxious and sensitive to confident, calm and stable. People who are high in agreeableness are kind, considerate, and warm. They also tend to have a higher natural oxytocin levels and a hormone that plays an important role in social bonding. Increases in the feeling of trust and you can act natural antidepressant. People who are high in neuroticism tend to be anxious and worry more than others. This trait has been linked to the hypersensitivity of their amygdala, the portion of the brain responsible for noticing threats. In other words, people who are more sensitive to negative cues in their environment are more likely to score high in neuroticism. Our habits are not solely determined by our personalities, but there is no doubt that our genes, not just in a certain direction, our deeply rooted preferences make certain behaviors easier for some people than for others. You don't have to apologize for these differences, or feel guilty about them, but you do have to work with them. A person who scores lower in conscientiousness, for example, will be less likely to orderly by nature and may need to rely more heavily on environment design to stick within good habits. The takeaway is that you should build the habits that work for your personality. People can get ripped working out like in a bodybuilder, but if you prefer rock climbing or cycling or rowing, then it should be an exercise habit around your interests. Read whatever fascinates you. You don't have to build the habits that everyone tells you to build. Choose the habit that best suits you, but the one that is most popular, not the one that is most popular. There is a version of every habit that can bring you joy and satisfaction. Find it. Habits need to be enjoyable if they're going to stick. Okay, this feels like very simple.